What if I told you that sugarcane could someday replace Saudi oil, that India just made jet fuel from used cooking oil, and that our hydrogen powered trains might soon leave diesel behind? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Pratishtha Raghav, and this is Point Blank. This July, India hit a historic milestone. It achieved 20% ethanol blending in petrol 6 years ahead of schedule. That means for every liter of petrol you buy, 200 milliliters now comes from sugarcane or any other grain based ethanol. This has helped India massively as it cuts down its import bill. We have saved over 1.36 lakh crore rupees in foreign exchange. This also helps farmers. Over 40,000 crores went to rural India last year for ethanol procurement. This also helps the environment as ethanol burns cleaner, which results in less particulate pollution. But the government isn't stopping there. It is now planning E27, which is 27% ethanol blending in petrol, a move that could make India one of the most biofuel integrated economies on earth. Recently, Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari also hinted at tax incentives for 100% ethanol based vehicles. And yes, Indian car makers like TVS and Bajaj are already planning on flex fuel vehicles that will run on high blend ethanol. But is ethanol perfect? Not quite. Critics warn of water overuse in sugarcane farming, food versus fuel trade offs, and regional dependence on just a few crops. But still, in the short run, it is India's cheapest transition of energy success. Converting cooking oil into jet fuel sounds absurd. But in Panipat, the Indian Oil Corporation is slowly revamping their refineries to produce over 30,000 tons per year of SAF, a sustainable aviation fuel, which is enough to power over 500 commercial flights with 80% less emissions than jet fuels. Here's how it works: cooking oil is cleaned and then converted into SAF. This is called the ATJ pathway or the alcohol to jet fuel pathway. And IOC isn't just stopping at planes. It is also working with the Indian Institute of Science to produce biohydrogen from biomass or farm waste. In other words, our biggest oil company is slowly transforming into a green tech lab. Now let's talk about the holy grail of clean energy: green hydrogen. India launched its National Green Hydrogen Mission in 2023. Target: 5 million tons per year of production by 2030. Budget: 19,744 crores. But why such a big push? Because green hydrogen can power steel factories without coal, cars and trucks without pollution, ships and trains without diesel. As of May 2025, India has approved 8 lakh 62,000 tons per year of production, awarded 3,000 MW of electrolyzer manufacturing capacity, partnered with private players like Reliance, Adani, JSW Energy, and Indian Oil. Cost still high, about 397 rupees per kg, but falling fast. Speaking about the use cases of green hydrogen, Indian Railways tested its first hydrogen powered train this year. BPCL signed a JV with Semcorp of Singapore to build hydrogen corridors. Japanese firms are setting up a hydrogen center in Uttar Pradesh. But green hydrogen isn't easy. Electrolyzer tech is still maturing, it needs clean water, which is still scarce in many regions, and no national pipeline exists yet for storage or distribution. Still, if India succeeds, it could become the largest exporter of green hydrogen in the world, powering ships in Europe and steel factories in Japan. This is energy diplomacy at its finest. In the last 10 years, India went from 1.5% ethanol blending to 20, zero hydrogen trains to a first successful test, and oil only refineries to green aviation fuels and biolabs. Biofuels to empower farmers, green hydrogen to clean up heavy industries, and smart petroleum to bridge the transition. But will it be fast enough to beat climate change? Strong enough to make India energy independent and cheap enough to reach the poor? These are the big questions that we still need to solve. If this episode helped you to understand India's fuel future, don't forget to subscribe, share, and tell me in the comments which fuel should India place their big bet on: petroleum, ethanol, or green hydrogen. You all have been wonderful listeners. I was Pratishtha Raghav. This was Point Blank. I'll see you all in the next one. Jai Hind.